The chair recognizes the gentleman from Florida, Mr. DeSantis, for 5 minutes.
Well, thank you, Mr. Attorney General. You didn't do anything wrong in that testimony. This question was jarbled. That's just not giving you any benefit of the doubt at all to do what these guys are doing to you. So I hear what you're saying, and you didn't do anything wrong there. I do want to talk to you about your recusal from the Russian case. You cited 28 CFR 445.2, saying you were involved with the campaign. That triggered recusal. However, that regulation only applies to criminal prosecutions or investigations. When you recused yourself under James Comey's admission, that was a counterintelligence investigation, not a criminal investigation. So why did you cite that regulation to recuse from a counterintelligence investigation when its only applicability is for a criminal investigation?
I'm not sure that was expressed to me when I was given advice about it in those terms, number one. Number two, it could likely be interpreted as both. And so I felt...
Comey, after you recused, he testified March 20th. He said, I'm authorized to say there's a counterintelligence investigation. He was telling the president, you're not under investigation. So that's what he said. So I think that may have been misapplied, but I understand what you're saying.
I did follow the advice I was given.
I know you did. You've talked about you can't confirm or deny investigations. I think that's a good policy. Why was Comey allowed to confirm that investigation in March 20th, which invited all kinds of irresponsible speculation? You were recused. Somebody in the department authorized him to do that. Why did they break with the policy?
This was this March 20th you're talking about? I'm not, I don't recall how that exactly occurred, but I do agree with you, Congressman, that Mr. Comey talked more than he should. And he had no power, right, or justification in announcing the conclusion of a criminal investigation. He was the investigator, not the
I agree. I don't want to, sorry to interrupt. I got limited time. I agree with you. Let me move on. Uranium One case. I know you've been asked about it. Can you say, forget about whether it's under investigation, in the past, did the FBI or DOJ inform either President Obama, Secretary Clinton, or any cabinet secretary that it had uncovered evidence that Rosatom's main U.S. executive, Vadim Mikirin, was engaged in bribery, kickbacks, and money laundering before the Obama administration approved the Uranium One sale in 2010?
Is that the Mikirin matter, the matter that was prosecuted in Maryland?
2014, but there was an informant in 2009, 2010. The FBI had evidence of bribery, kickbacks, and money laundering. Was that information conveyed to any of the relative people on the CFIUS board? Clinton, other cabinet secretaries, or was it given to the president?
The way I understand that matter is that the case in which Mr. Mikirin was convicted was not connected to the CFIUS problem that occurred 2 to 3 years before. When the case came to the United States Attorney's Office, Mr. Rosenstein's office in Maryland, CFIUS had already been approved by 2 years or more.
There was an FBI informant starting in 2009.
I have not talked with him, but the Department of Justice, I understand, has approved him providing information to the Congress, and I understand it'll be set up in a few days, and you'll be able to hear from him direct.
I think you should too, because from everything I've been proffered, he has evidence of illegal conduct 2009 and 2010 before this deal was agreed to involving Uranium One. It was all connected. And so I think that that's something that we need to do. And let me move on. The leaking you mentioned, you can't confirm or deny the existence of the leaks. Michael Flynn, some of these other leaks used politically against the administration. So let me ask you this. Since the president was elected, has anybody been held accountable criminally or administratively for leaking information against the administration with a political motive?
Well, I think the individual in Georgia had a motive that's been charged, but We have 27 ongoing investigations. Some of those involve leaks before President Trump took office and some after.
Final question, just yes or no.
Before that, it was only 3 per year, only 9. There's 3 times as many this year as in the entire 3 years before being investigated.
Final question, why can't you just tell us whether or not the FBI expended resources to give money to Christopher Steele? It's not about going into the investigation. We have oversight over your department. Were taxpayer dollars used to give to Christopher Steele, yes or no?
I'm not able to do that. I think for several reasons. It's an ongoing matter, and also it may well involve classified information.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney General.
About 9 open investigations of classified leaks in the last 3 years. We have 27 investigations open today. We intend to get to the bottom of these leaks. I think it has reached epidemic proportions. It cannot be allowed to continue, and we will do our best effort to ensure that it does not continue.
Attorney General Jeff Sessions testifying before the House Judiciary Committee today, telling lawmakers that there are 27 investigations open right now to cover those classified leaks. Continuous leaks, have obviously proven to be a serious thorn in the side of President Trump's administration, increasing threefold in recent years. Joining me now to discuss that and other things here, Florida Congressman Ron DeSantis, a member of the House Oversight and Foreign Affairs Committee. Sir, thank you very much for joining us. I know it's been hectic for you the last couple of weeks.
No problem. Good evening.
Good evening. This Attorney General Sessions testimony was riveting, in part because of the animosity in the air and the pushing and everyone jockeying for position. Let me start with the 27 leaks, because Republicans have complained bitterly about all of these leaks, and bitterly, by the way, about Jeff Sessions not taking action. What do you make of this?
Well, as soon as President Trump got elected last November, you started to see an uptick in leaks from the bureaucracy, from high-level Obama administration appointees. And the leaks were designed to really kneecap the president-elect, and then once he was sworn in as president. So I think the leaks increased in volume, but they were also much more political in nature. So I think it's a major problem. And I asked Jeff, I said, hey, Mr. Attorney General, how many people since that last November election have actually been held accountable? And he said there was one contractor in Georgia who'd been held accountable, which is good, but no one's been held accountable for leaking the FISA material against Michael Flynn, any of the FISA stuff involving some of the other Trump associates. Those are felonies on their face, Charles, and yet what we've seen is you can go ahead and leak, and there's not going to be any consequences.
Right. Of course, there's a lot of pushback also against accountability, to coin your word there. With respect to all of the things involving the Clintons, Uranium One, the Clinton Foundation, and some of the other things. And Representative Jim Jordan, of all folks, I know he and Jeff Sessions are good friends, but they kind of went at it. And I wanted the audience to listen to a critical part of today's testimony.
Doesn't that warrant, in addition to all the things we know about James Comey in 2016, doesn't that warrant naming a second special counsel, as 20 members of this committee wrote you 3.5 months ago asking you to do?
Well, Mr. Comey is no longer the director of the FBI.
Thank goodness.
We have an excellent man of integrity and ability in Chris Wray, and I think he's going to do an outstanding job, and I'm very happy
He's
about
not here today,
that.
Attorney General.
And I would say,
and I'm asking for a special
time of the gentleman.
and I would say,
expired.
looks like is not enough basis to appoint a special counsel.
Representative DeSantis, that last line was ominous to me. I would say looks like is not enough basis to appoint a special counsel. This sort of belies what the breaking news we had last night that suggested that indeed we would see a second special investigator.
Well, when then Senator Sessions was up for Senate confirmation, he said he was going to recuse on anything not only involving the campaign, but the Clintons, including the foundation. So I would be fine not having a special counsel, let DOJ look at that and investigate it. But I think he's already taken himself out with his testimony. And then Rod Rosenstein's the deputy AG. Rosenstein was one of the guys involved in some of these prosecutions, and there's questions about how those unfolded. So I think in this instance, a special counsel is warranted. I had an exchange with the Attorney General about the FBI informant who's now coming forward to Congress producing his information, and I think the Attorney General was under the view that a lot of the corruption and the prosecutions happened after the approval of the Uranium One deal in 2010. But in fact, that informant started working with the FBI in 2009. He was gathering incriminating information for a year and a half before the Uranium One deal was approved by the Obama administration. So we still have this question. If we knew there was corruption, racketeering, bribery, all that under the surface, why did not anybody in the Obama administration, the Justice Department, or the FBI tell the CFIUS board members? Because they may not have approved the deal if they knew that.
Right, and of course, they had to vote unanimously to approve it, and they certainly did. Representative Ron DeSantis, thank you as usual. Miss you, glad you could make it tonight.